I will now show you how to use comparison operators in C. Comparison operators are there to compare values of variables with each other and then act upon whatever the result of the comparison is. But let's start by reviewing the arithmetic operators that we already know very well. So we have plus, minus, times, the division, and the modulo operator, and those are all arithmetic operators. The comparison operators are things like, well, is this number less than that number, or is it bigger, or is it less than or equal to, or is it greater than or equal to, or is it maybe not equal to, or are two numbers equal to each other? So these are all called comparison operators, and we will spend some time using each of those and understanding how exactly it works. So let's start right with an example. Suppose we have two variables. Let's say A has the value 5 and another variable B that has the value 2. And we wanted to check whether those are two equal variables, so whether A is equal to B. So we wanted to print out, I want to check whether A is equal to B. Notice I'm writing two equal signs there. So this is just going to get printed out to the screen, but I'm using two equal signs here to compare whether A is equal to B. Because remember, one equal sign is already used up. That's the assignment operator that changes the value of a variable. So if we wanted to check whether two variables have the same value, we actually use two equal signs in C. That's something to get used to. So how do we actually do that? We declare another variable in which we hold the result of the comparison. So type integer result, and then we can say result is equal to, and now it's equal to the result of the comparison. So whether A is equal to B. Now this looks awfully strange. There's a lot of equal signs in this one line right here. What happens though is first, the right-hand side of the assignment is evaluated. So we're checking whether A is equal to B. In our case, they're not equal because A is 5 and B is 2. So that's going to be a false. And that value, false, which is encoded as a 0 in C, is then assigned, we're using the assignment equal, to the variable result. So after this line, result will have the value 0. If you wanted to avoid any confusion, you could put some parentheses around the right-hand side. That makes it look a little less strange. But they're not necessary, but you can put them there. They're not harming anything. It makes it clear to the viewer that the right-hand side is evaluated first. All right, so why don't we print out the result that we just found here. So result is %d, and we'll put the variable result in there. And let's just try this out for now. Compile and run. Check, is A equal to B? Result is 0 because they're not equal to each other. So that's good. But now we can even act and do something based on the result of this comparison. So we could say if result, and now we want to do something. So, if result is true, then we get into this if case right here. So we could simply print out true. And otherwise, we get into the otherwise case if result was not true. So let's print out false. And so let's run this code again. Compile, run. And it says, is A equal to B? The result is 0. And that means false. A is not equal to B. We expected that because, A has the value 5 and B has the value 2. Now, instead of checking whether A is equal to B, we could use any of the other comparison operators just as well. So how about next we check whether A is less than B? And of course, I have to change it in the line as well where I actually do the evaluation. Well, is that true? A is 5, B is 2. A is not less than B, so the condition is going to be false again. That means result will have the value 0, which means we go right into the else case because result is false. And so we're going to print out false. Let's check it out, compile and run. And indeed, false is printed out. why don't we check whether A is greater than B? And again, I have to change it in this place as well. So we're going to print out, is A greater than B? 5 is indeed greater than 2, so the right-hand side here will evaluate to true. And result will get the value 1. And since result will have the value 1, we're going to go into the first case here of the if statement and print out true. Let's check it out. Compile and run. Check, is A greater than B? And the result is 1, and so that is true. Next, we can also check whether A is less than or equal to B. And again, we have to do that in both places. Is A less than or equal to B? Well, it's not. 5 is not less than or equal to 2, but we'll compile and run anyway. And again, it says the result is 0, and that's false. Similarly, we can check whether A is greater than or equal to B. And 5 is indeed greater than or equal to 2, so when we compile and run, it says the result is 1, and we are in the true case, in this first case of the if statement. Finally, we can check whether A is simply not equal to B. So that's what this exclamation mark and the equal sign mean. Is it true that A is not equal to B? Well, indeed, that is true. So we expect this result to be a 1. We're going to print out here the result is 1, and then again go into the true case of the if statement, so print out true right here. Let's compile and run, and indeed, the result is 1. A is not equal to B, and so we print out a true right there. So that's how we use comparison operators in the C programming language. One more time, be sure not to confuse this double equal sign with the single equal sign. The single equal sign that you see right here is the assignment operator. If we were to check whether A is equal to B in value, we would use the double equal sign right there. So the double equal sign means we're checking whether the values are the same, and I should change it up here as well in that case. And the assignment operator takes the result of the right-hand side evaluation, so the value whether A is equal to B, and then assigns that value to the variable result. Again, you don't really need these parentheses right here, but they're there for clarity if you wanted them to be there. So very important. Be sure to note the difference between the double equal and the single equal. It's a huge source of errors and long searching for errors in many, many, many programs.